like, that's what my shirt looked like. And it looked like that on the thing. I was like, I can't do it. I'm sorry. I've got to change and get back to you.
I love that. And then like even me putting this hat on right now, I'm like, okay, yeah, there I am. Now I'm properly represented of how I feel inside. You know,
Yeah, I like it.
it's so important. I have these guys to help us today. This one's Merlinite. This one's the stone of mysticism, and it just takes you there, like just sends you, and it's strong. It's not very, in my opinion, it's not very soft. And I love that for like where I just kind of feel our energy right now. We're cool with that versus
Yeah.
last talk, we needed some more like softer type thing. I brought this one as like aragonite, which is that soft grandfather type love and feel. And then I brought my favorite tiger's eye. And I feel like it's kind of where I'm at right now. These three are kind of where I'm at. So
Perfect.
yes. And you have yours. And you have your, what is it? You have your
Rose quartz.
Oh my God.
And I also have this. I don't know if I showed you this. I did show you this from last time. This is sitting on my table.
Oh, what is that one?
It's not rhodonite, but it's the one that sounds like rhodonite but has a different ending. I can't remember what it's called.
Oh wow. That one is I've definitely
Rhode is something.
yes. That one's so beast. Oh my God.
Yeah, it's a big one. It wasn't that much. I was surprised. Like rhodonite, I was gonna buy a rhodonite sphere or the other one. Maybe this is rhodonite. I don't know. You know what I'm talking about?
Actually, I think that one, it looks like rhodonite.
Maybe this one is rhodonite, and then there's a pinker one.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I was gonna buy the other one, and then this one was less money for a bigger one, and so I was like, I like it. It's intense.
That one is rhodonite. The one that you
okay.
have. Yeah, it's intense. Yeah. Is that the one you use as your new like veil?
My new reality, yeah.
Hell yeah, that's dope. That is so dope.
Yeah, it feels like this little planet, like this little like Venus planet almost, you know, like a feminine energy. Cats are running around like psychos, so that kind of energy is going on.
Yeah, hell yeah. You seem like in a good spot right now. You seem like
yeah.
Not that when you're not here it's not good, but you just seem like you're in your power. You seem like you're in your voice, you know?
Yeah, sweet. Yeah. Well, I'm excited to dive in because I want to hear about this ayahuasca journey that you had.
Oh my God. You came through so gnarly. I would say like 8 people came through for me, and some were really new relationships in my life like you. Some were really old, but they all shared the common thread of like, they've seen me. And I'm like, so grateful for that. You know, like you came through night 1 and it was kind of like, oh man, I'm getting all the way into it already. You have to explain so many things just to get you there. But basically, so I thought my experience was going to be very similar to my psychedelic experiences early on. And I thought it was going to be very hard. Like, I thought it was going to be like, oh man, I'm going to throw up everywhere. I'm going to literally probably like shit my pants and just do that whole thing, you know? Yep. And it was so metaphorical because the room we were in was a little tight. And so someone had to sit in the middle. And I wanted to be by my partner, Julia. I wanted to stay right by her. But that was the thing too. They were, you know, the facilitators were saying, you know, probably best not to do that. And we didn't know. And so I was like, you know what, I'm going to go in the middle. And it was so metaphorical for my position in life. And like, I kind of actually I'm going to be vulnerable with you and like ask for your take on it as I get deeper into it, because I want to hear what you think about that whole thing. But anyway, so
can we pause for 1 second though? My cats are batting something around on the floor and I wanted to pick up this background noise. Hold on.
Do it.
I don't know what they're playing with. I'm sorry to take away your toy, but let me see. What are you playing with, Psycho? What are you doing? Oh God. I see. Sorry about that.
Is it not your cat's nap time? Right now is my cat's full-blown nap time.
Usually it is. Usually like right about now they're nap time. I don't know why they're all wild. They found these chestnuts and they were swatting her. I'm like, what are they playing with?
I love cats so much. They've added so much to my life.
Yeah, your cats are so cute too. The little tiger stripe ones, they're so cute.
They're amazing. They're our little tigers. They're little protectors of this home. It's cool.
Yeah,
Um,
tabby tiger. Are they tabby
they're
cats?
both tabby, brother and
Yeah.
sister, and they're bonded. They're best friends. They clean each other's like they play and then they start cleaning each other and then it's just like ugh, they're the best.
Yeah, my cats do that too. They did it a lot more when they were kittens, and
Mm-hmm.
since they've been older, they kind of act like they're in rivalry with each other. They're
Mm.
like both possessive over me. But lately, they've been hanging out with each other again and like falling asleep on the bed together. And I'm like a mom that's like, oh, they're getting along again.
Oh, so do they grow up and do they grow out of that crazy playtime, or is it?
Well, they do. Yeah, they do kind of. They still will play with each other, but it's like not as when they were kittens, they were like that, kind of like
Right.
what you're talking about. They slept together, they cleaned each other, they were all
Totally.
always with each other.
Mm-hmm.
They're brothers as well. They look nothing alike.
Mm.
But yeah, like the last couple, like last year and a half, they've been kind of more independent, like going through their teenage years, I
Oh
guess.
yeah, for real. Jeez.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember where I was when
Oh yeah, so you were saying you were in the middle and how metaphorical it was.
Oh, okay. So yes, I was sitting in the middle and I thought I was going into it expecting the worst. You know, none of these trips are bad. They're just deep and they're a lot. And I was expecting to like literally throw up everywhere and just be the loudest and just be like, oh, you know, like I have so much to purge inside me. But grandmother ayahuasca spent maybe 20 minutes on that. She was like, it was very, you know, it's a very feminine energy. I don't know if you've ever like journeyed with it or if anyone's
I haven't
watching.
done ayahuasca yet.
It's like, okay, it's like so, oh my God, it's so meta, the whole thing. But it's, she feels very feminine for sure. It feels like a grandmother. That's why they call it grandmother. It feels like a, but like a very like, I'm going to help you right now, grandmother, you know? And so we spent 20 minutes on that whole same old story, same old paradigm. My intention was to see through my false paradigm and into my true paradigm.
Mm.
And very quickly, it was like, that's no more. We are not playing with the same thing you're always playing with. That game's over. We need a new game. And so then it was kind of like, all of a sudden I started bawling, crying, I remember. And I was like, it felt as though my boss just saw me, recognized me, gave me a biggest raise ever, and gave me like the biggest promotion ever. But it felt like welcome into this life. And when I say this life, I mean the life that you're in. Okay, like welcome into your business. Welcome into, I mean, welcome into your own power and your own voice, and like almost viewing it as like like welcome to shaman in training, you know? And I use that word carefully. I don't want to just throw it out there, you know, because I don't want to trip anyone up on that, but that's what came through for me. But it's this, you know, it's the same thing that you're doing. It's like welcome to leading people. And it was like, oh my God. So it was actually a super blissful experience. I mean, it was definitely deep. And at one point I felt all of humanity's, and it was because I was literally here. I was in the center of the room. Everyone was facing me, all of that energy. The music was right in front of me. And at one point, I just felt all of humanity, everything, every emotion, every laugh, every cry, every deep loss, everything all at once. And it was so heavy. And then it almost felt like silence after that. And it was just like, whoa, what the fuck is this? You know, it was so beautiful. It was just like, it was the most magnificent experience, you know? And they say like to be careful about talking about it after, you know, make sure you know who you're talking to, and maybe not even to go into so much detail just because it doesn't make sense for anyone but you. It's so
Yeah.
tailored. And I know you understand that just with journeying with whatever, you know? Oh man, it's just so tailored. But I did get so many easy downloads from it, and they're still coming.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's so
What do you feel like when you said you feel like it was saying welcome, like you're stepping into your role?
mm,
Because I know when we've talked a lot about where I feel like your gifts are very astral, very meta, like you said. Did you feel like you got any clarity specifically about that?
I did honestly, like, yes, you totally saw me from the first time we talked, and you're like, oh, you're able to speak this language or whatever. Mine was, my experience of that is, okay, I guess my answer to that is more of like a how to. it's like, yes, you were spot on from the beginning. I understand the astral realm and I understand how to translate that down here, you know? And it's okay. It's basically like my business is, I feel like this is kind of like a session, like live. It's so cool. This is your work, by the way. You're so good at this. I feel like my calling is to put humanity version Ricky on display, period. Put humanity on display. Bring me, my human, my sliver of human, and put it on display so people can experience humanity, you know? And as you know, that takes a lot of vulnerability every single day, every single post. Everything is serious, everything, not serious, everything is sincere, and everything is important. And so it's just like putting humanity on display, meaning like if I need to go switch up my hat because I want to feel more comfortable, then I got to go do that. That way my human can feel more expressive or more comfortable with you or comfortable with the camera or whatever. So it was a lot of that. And then a lot of it was learning to take up just the right amount of space, just the right amount of space. And I feel like when you're in this world and your business is basically, I mean, what is our business? Our business is putting ourselves out there and then being human and then like somehow figuring out how to bring in monetary compensation. Like, you know, that's like, it's like all over. And I feel like there just needs to be, I'm totally jumping to a different area here, but I feel like the biggest download I got was taking up just the right amount of space in that. So like sometimes I'm off of a conversation with you, or especially after you've gone live in one of your classes, and I want to go post about, I don't even know what the fuck, just express, like exude. But I've learned like do it when you feel resonant with yourself, you know? And I never understood that. And before this trip, I also never understood the concept of holding space. I didn't understand it, but now I do. And you use that term a lot. And I get it now. I totally get it now, you know?
Well, I bet with you being in the middle and all the energy facing you, and also you being an empath and everyone purging their, you know, or just going through their own journeys, that almost gives me anxiety just thinking about it. Like, well, dang.
Oh my God. Well, that's the other thing, Amanda, is like, that's where it's no pat on my back at all. It's just one of my natural freebies. It's like I have an unlimited, untapped and unlimited ability to hear people's deepest, most vulnerable spot. For whatever reason, it just hits me and it doesn't pull my energy down. Other things pull my energy down big time, like me kind of playing the superficial game. I can only do that for like an hour and then I'm dead. But like, you know, all that energy around me, I felt like it was my, if it was just a bunch of words in a room, like let's imagine words, I was the poet putting the words together in the right way, just to have everything harmonized. It was so cool. And so for that, and actually I have a question for you now too, because you say, and I'm an empath, and what is your view on, like, what is your view on that? Do you think some people, if they're not empaths, what are they doing? Like, what are they learning here? You know?
That's a good question, because the truth is the word empath gets thrown around quite a bit, especially now. And I think almost anyone, when you hear the definition, most people I think can say, oh yeah, I mean, everyone is empathic to an extent. I think it's our most human trait.
Yeah.
The ability to feel others. And really they say that the exact opposite of an empath would be a sociopath. Someone who doesn't have the ability to relate in any way, shape, or form, or empathize in any way with somebody. So that would be like the polar opposite. And I really think that there's a spectrum. And for whatever reason, there are some people that are just on the way empathic side of the spectrum, in the sense of that they can just feel intensely and relate intensely, often even, you know, not necessarily being able to distinguish between themselves and others emotionally, you know? So I wouldn't say, I don't think you've described yourself like that at all, but what you just said about being able to be in a room and hold space, you didn't use those words, but you said like you could hear, can hear a lot. And I think that it's not that necessarily you have to emotionally take it on. A lot of people think that's what it means. Like you have to emotionally take on someone's thing. That's actually an unhealthy thing to do. But I think it's the fact that you can allow it and feel it and empathize. Not everyone has that gift. Not everyone can do it. You know, not everyone can even tolerate that kind of energy.
Totally. You're good at describing that. You're exactly right. The reason I have a large bucket, I guess you could say, of room and space inside of me is because I don't necessarily feel what they're feeling on my own emotion. Like I don't let it ride my own emotional wave. I just literally am there like, oh no, I'm going to give you as much clock time as you need to process because I've been there. I've been there so much. I spend my life there, you know? So, and I really like that. I really like that conversation. I don't know if we had it one-on-one or it was in one of your groups about the different types of empaths and how we all have something to bring, you know, and for whatever reason my type of empath was needed to be at the center so that way everyone could just do all the feels, you know what I mean, and I was just sitting there doing my own thing but also everyone's thing at the same time. It was so crazy. It was so crazy.
Something about alchemicalizing. Like, I wonder, especially the way you described it being like words in a room, and then you were like the poet moving things around. To me, that's a perfect description of working in the astrals, working on the lines of coding, which I think is what it's the pre-manifested realm. What we're thinking, what we're feeling is sort of brewing in the astrals before it makes its way into physical manifestation. So when that's to me why it's like the shortcut. It's like going to the source of something and moving the coding around there is powerful. So I am curious about, as you feel like you're tapping more into kind of what you're doing, did that ayahuasca journey give you any insight into that specifically? Like, I don't know why I'm using the word codes, but coding in the astrals, creating poetry in the astrals.
100%. It told me go toward your crystals. It said keep moving toward your crystals. Mind you, nothing about this is auditory. I didn't actually hear anything. It's a very much knowing thing. Right. It was like learn from the crystals, understand them, let them speak back to you, but don't get tied up on anything. And then also I can't figure out the word. I've been playing with this thought. I don't know if it's maybe you'll help me. I don't know if it's platform or conductor, or I think it might be conductor, where devote my life to being a conductor of humanity. So if I feel like create, and the resources will come through. Like if I keep imagining this panel for whatever reason, very specifically with you, like maybe us like leading something, and leading a panel, and us coming together and figuring out what the intention is for the panel, and then us creatively crafting the questions, and then having just some of our friends in a room in a room, Zoom-wise room, talking about that. What would that do? You know what I mean? Like, what would that kind of metacognition with me and you, what, you know, that combined with sacred relationships, all safely put in a Zoom room, what would that actually do? That's where I kind of go blank, and I would lean towards someone on you is like, what would that do? You know, it would break stuff up for sure. It would definitely break things up and bring things down, but like specifics, I don't exactly know yet.
You know, it's interesting that you say that, because I've been getting all these downloads about grid workers and how there are people who have very strong resonance in specific grids, empathic resonance, meaning they're so connected to the grid that they're in that they empath it. And when I say grid, I don't always necessarily just mean the place someone lives, because it could also be like your main associations, like even like I think there's people who are political grid workers, like, and or even like the guy I'm dating right now, he literally knows people from every walk of life. He could be with a homeless man on the street or the president of a country, any country, and he would act exactly the same. Wow. He has no I've never met anyone like that. And I've realized as I've been getting to know his grid, he has this huge grid of like, people that really don't have a voice. You know what I mean? Wow. And he's held so much space for that for so long that it's almost like he could be a mountain, and it's a huge grid on the planet. And I think that I hold a grid for a lot of very specific type of empaths, you know, and you hold a very specific kind of grid. And And I think that what we don't see, I think what would be anomalous is grid workers that represent and hold space for all different paths come together and have a conversation that feels alchemicalizing. In other words, like, I'm realizing there are from being with the man I'm dating right now, I'm realizing half the people in his grid would be people I never, ever would come in contact with, ever. And just simply because our lives are so different. But because I have access to him, all of a sudden, empathically, I'm getting access to this whole grid that's huge here. And I'm like, whoa, like, this is a new territory that I wasn't aware of. And this has happened multiple times to me when I've met grid workers. It's like, I'll meet someone, this happened in Sedona as well, when I realized some of my really close friends in Sedona are grid workers for like Sedona type of people, like people who are really 5D. And that was a whole other grid I didn't know existed. All of a sudden it was in my reality. And then once it got plugged into me, now I have access to it. It's very interesting.
Ooh, I got chills when you said that.
Yeah. So I've been interested in this concept of like bringing these mouthpieces that would actually never probably ever have a conversation. We're all living on this planet. Those specific grid holders and communing as humans, communing, just talking from our humanity. I love how you said, I'm just meant to display my humanity. What if we displayed humanity, but from from several different grids that would normally never connect?
Yes.
I don't know.
I think chills might be a sign that you are, yep, that's right. You know, it's a spirit, it's a sign from the knowing, the planet that we're on. It's a sign like, yep, that's right. Send him the chills. You know, I got the chills when you said that. And now I'm understanding like that would dissolve that need to battle. That would, because when you said 5D Sedona people, I was thinking like 5D, and I was like, oh yeah, I have friends that fall on that grid where their lifestyle is 5D. They like they eat 5D, they think 5D, but they don't necessarily feel the need to jump on an empathic call. You know what I mean? That's not their grid. And then there's you over here who has space. Now I know what that means. You hold space for all of that, you know? And like I fit in there, I think I fit in there for the people who are at the peak of their own business. I fit in there for the grid. Let me get this right. The grid that I'm really working on right now are empaths who their head is going through the astrals and they're being clunky. And I'm like, let's bring it together and take up as much space as we need here. Yeah. You know, that's why I'm resonating so gnarly with you. And then I was resonating a ton with Wes earlier, and she's on her own grid, but she's a leader in her own grid. I'm really resonating with that type of stuff, you know? So us coming together, that would be really cool. And I think now I'm understanding what this conversation has turned into all of a sudden is like, this is a very meta conversation in that we're giving ourselves space to create. You know, like this is us creating and we're trying to figure out what to create. And it's no wonder it's so hard. No wonder it takes so long. Yeah. Because there's so many things you have to think about. There's so much shit you have to think about.
Well, and typically I think the reason why things don't get done, even though we as human beings are these amazing, innovative beings that can really create anything we want, but we don't get to creative solutions because of the lack matrix, because you have to jump through hoops in order to talk. Okay, I want to create this, so I have to go through all this red tape to create this. Or we're just programmed to think, well, I have to talk to so-and-so, or I have to be, and instead of just like, what if we just got a bunch of powerful grid holders that actually can move shit, like can actually shake up space and are connected to people who can do so, and just start the conversation of like, first we got to commune. Yeah. We have to remember that we're connected. We have to remember that like we actually are an interdependent species. We need each other, whether we like it or not. We need each other. If we go to war, like the worst thing we could do is to go to war with ourselves as humanity, humanity going to war with itself. And so anything that helps us remember that we're human and also remember that we're magical, that we really truly can create anything we want. And then having people who get that but are connected to a solid grid. You know what I mean? That's totally a part of the equation.
Oh, that word solid, meaning like they can go back to their people. I imagine them all being influencers, and I want to use that word in the highest way, the highest sense of the word. They're so solid with their grid. They're just gonna, you know what I keep going back to? I had this experience with ayahuasca is on my grid, I envisioned myself very much like, I was like, I am a tiger. I am a brown, orange, beautiful, strong tiger. And this one dude was right next to me and he was going through it hard and taking up a ton of space. And I would do things while I was in this is going to come back, trust, but I would do things where, I would make more noise. I would hit my rings on my crystals, make more noise. That way it wasn't so awkward for him to get that space out. Because I knew he needed to do that. Even though it was intimidating all the women, I knew he needed to do that. That way the women could see him restoring himself as a man. So, and then I swear he would very much like look up at me and like thank me, but he looked like a Black Panther. It was so rad.
Wow.
So he can go back to, and of course he's an influencer of sorts. He has a ton of people that just resonating with him, like 100%. So imagine him sharing that panel. What does that do?
Exactly.
That's a whole vote. That's a whole society. That's the city we're talking about.
That's what I'm saying. I can feel it. I've known for a while, when I was in Sedona, in fact, I've known for a while that I meant to be a networker. I heard that and I was like, well, what the heck does that mean? So of course I was looking at it in the 3D sense, like, and it would just kind of never fit. And then I started, when I was in Sedona, I got unplugged. I didn't feel like I was on the planet at all, and had so many crazy experiences and downloads, which is where I got most of my understanding of the astrals. And met through my friend who is very 5D, met people who were in that grid space. And one other person who's like, have you ever seen the movie Doctor Strange, the new one? Is that what it's called, Doctor Strange?
Yeah.
The names
I know his story.
Yeah. Well, there's a villain in that can like, he's the one at the very beginning that's like going through that 5D space at some sort of war. I can't remember the guy's name.
Watch that movie now again. I love that movie.
This guy in Sedona is like that guy, like just like that guy. But I wouldn't say he's not an evil villain. He's like for the good. But anyway, my friend's like, you need to talk to him about this grid you keep seeing, because I kept getting this huge vision of like a grid, and I would move through different networking spaces in it, and I would meet all these grid workers. But I could go through any part of the grid. And I mean, I was seeing full on visions of it. And my friend Karis was like, I only know one other person who has described that place you're talking about. I have to connect you with him. And so she introduced me to him, and I started telling him what I was seeing. He was like, he pulled out this huge book of everything he's drawn out from the same freaking visions he's had. Whoa. And he was like, I've been mapping this out for a while. I have never met anyone else who has the kind of access that you have. I've never seen anyone be able to access all of it.
Oh my God.
Which I don't even know what that means. But I just remember when I was talking to him, like, okay, I'm not crazy. Someone else literally knows exactly what I'm talking about. And it has to do, in my mind, I knew very clearly it has to do with who's pulling the strings behind the scene. We often don't know because people don't know their power. They don't actually know what they're really doing. Half the time their power is being used apart from their conscious will anyway. 100%. So, my entire point of this is that this has been brewing in me for a while, this concept of like getting people together. And I have the craziest network of people, like in every realm you can imagine. I just weirdly know a lot of freaking people from every different sort of walk of life. And I have the network. I've thought so many times, I know enough people that do enough things that we could really create whatever we wanted. Like my brother created a new social media platform, and it's like we're about to launch it. But he realized once he talked to me that like it would be, if he catered it to influencers like us, especially because a lot of them are being censored now, a lot of influencers, or they just don't like the algorithms and how they're run. And I'm just like, I mean, that's just one example, but I'm like, we could literally create our entire own thing. You know what I mean? Like, we don't need anyone to do it. We could do it. We just need to connect. That's like all. And I think we have the power and the money and the influence. We have everything we need. We just need to come together.
Wow. 100, Amanda. You put that perfectly together. We don't even need to figure out how it's going to happen. We just need to come together.
We do it.
That word came to me yesterday too. Commune, not community. We need to commune, you know? And the only exclusivity factor that's thrown in there is how vulnerable are you willing to be? Because that's like the ticket in. And that's not the ticket in for you to get into our group. It's the ticket in for you to get into you.
Yes.
And then when you're working there, that's when you can really pull together like whatever you want. But you said something. Oh, okay. The creating of, I was going to say, so this panel is coming together already. I can feel it. And I think it speaks to our, if we were a Venn diagram, here's Ricky and here's Amanda, and then where do we meet in the middle? Do you think you have an idea of what grid that we're sharing? Because if you do, that's a clue to me, that's a code to the type of people that need to be in on this panel. That's the way in.
I want to tune into this for a second, because what I feel as soon as I saw you like say this part in the middle, what I feel is like, this is going to sound so 3D and human, like not even human, but like even maybe businessy for a minute. I don't have the right words for this, but I almost feel like, you know how in the world, like you always have to have people to kind of make something cool, like to have new concepts come in. You have to have people that are willing to like live it and show the world like you can do this. Like, and there are people doing that for sure. But I feel like what I learned when I was in Sedona is that even though there are people living in the whole 5D world, their lifestyle is so that realm that grounded everyday people often cannot relate at all. And I also learned in that realm that there is power and money and influence in that realm, but a lot of the people who hold good space in the bigger spaces that we need, like building, for example, creating communities, technology, that's the piece I have over here. A lot of very grounded, wealthy people, not necessarily all wealthy, maybe connected, the word, that are waking up big time, that are knowing, okay, we need to create a new world, that are not wanting to go the government route, voting something into office, but wanting to just fucking do it, and needing to be connected with visionaries and people who can show the lifestyle, who can live the lifestyle, show it, be it, show up, influence. 100%. And that's like a very like 3D way of looking at it. But I feel like it needs to happen. And these what I've found from my friends that are in this side and the people over here, they're not connecting because it's too woo for them. Yeah. This is too woo. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I almost see that in my mind, you and I, because I am on a little more for sure on the woo side, and you are too, in the sense of us doing the astral stuff. But at the same time, I feel like you hold a space very much for making it, this sounds so, I was going to say making it look cool. That sounds so ridiculous, but like,
I'll tell you.
But more like living it in a very human way, but also like making it appealing. I guess that's the word. Like, I feel like we've got to turn on our magnetism, and we've got to it's got to be appealing to people. Like, it's not just this woo-woo thing we're talking about, even though not everyone's going to agree with that. But the people who are over here are gifted and have huge visions and abilities that can help the people over here that are wanting to wake up and grow and get out of the lack matrix, and even have the money and power to actually create a huge influence. But just like, do you know what I'm saying? And I don't know if I'm...
No, perfect.
I feel like we could bring that world together. That's like the space you and I could create.
100. And this is kind of the way me and you work. And this is what it's turned out. This is what it's shown itself to be, is I kind of get stuck, and then I throw it to you, and then you break through something, and I'm like, oh, I hear what you're saying now. So I do hear what you're saying, in that, people have always told me like, oh man, you could pull that off. You could pull whatever you want off, your mustache, your long hair, then short hair, then whatever. Like, I wanted to pierce my nose, and I did a little triangle, gold triangle, because it's like the strongest shape, and it's my symbol, very similar to your crystal symbol, And so anyway, to me, I just am, what I'm hearing is I have an ability to express my work, my internal work, my self-healing transformation. I have an ability to express that and hold space for that and make it cool in terms of, how does that connect with the music I like? Does that mean I have to only listen to shaman and like medicine music? No, I love all the rap that I've always loved. You know what I mean? I hear the truth in all kinds of things, and so do you, which is why, like, I'm so down for the Bible again. I brought the Bible back into my life, and I'm not afraid to post that. And I guess I basically just heard 100% what you said, and I feel like we need more communion, but what will come from that communion is more I want to say the word comfort. I
Yeah.
think we need more comfort. And that's why I always hesitate to say we need more money on our end of things, because we don't need more money. We need more comfort. Like I was telling my partner, like, you know, and I'm going to just let it flow because this is our channels. You know what I mean? Like we can do that here. It's so cool. It's uncensored media. It's so cool. This is uncensored media. It's so rad. But, well, uncensored in the sense of this conversation, at least for now. but if I'm in a stressed out place and I am going through to basically do my alchemical process, and I don't have enough space in my home with the kids and the cats, and I need to go to my other home that I'm able to afford for that to have hold space for me, where it's just me and the lake and the home, you know. And it sounds selfish, and I know people are going to think that that's selfish saying, but it's like the most selfish thing you can do is not go into yourself and dive in and help, you know. So I'm hearing that we need more comfort on our sides, more things that are easy, you know.
Exactly.
Does that
Yeah.
make sense?
It makes total sense. And I think a big part of that is I feel like there's a disconnect between like people who kind of get free from the 3D world often reject money and or get super into like these communal societies, which are great. And I actually want something like that, but bridged with the 3D world,
Totally.
bridged with this grid, because that's how you alchemicalize it, you know?
Totally. That's how you bring the world up. That's how you bring Earth
Exactly.
consciousness, who is in a 3D now moving. That's what you're doing, you know? Oh,
Yeah. Well, and I think like there are simple solutions for these big worldwide world problems. Community gardens, community, just communion. Like you said, we need to come together, because I feel like most people there, I know people right now that since the last time we had a shamana woman come here doing the bufo, the people who did bufo, I didn't do it that round, I just held space. Everyone in my grid shifted that did it. I mean, even the guy that I'm dating, the only reason we're together is because he did it, and like his life shifted. So but one of the people was basically like, I've got to, and most of them are, you know, pretty well grounded and financially affluent. And we're like, I need to, like, all I want to do is quit my job and figure out how to help people. I want to move towards like sustainability. How can I invest in this? And this is a huge thing. I feel like this is huge right now. There are people who are awake and ready, and just like, there's solutions that are already there. It's just this that needs to happen. That's it. And I feel like so many people that need each other do not connect simply because our circles don't connect. Our circles of influence don't connect. And then there's every circle of influence has a political, and I don't even mean political government wise. I'm just saying the politics of that circle, that often those are the astral lines that keep us from actually connecting with each other. And they're all based on the lack matrix, the reward punishment. People are afraid to get out of their comfort zone. They won't choose anomaly because of fear, you know. And so having a conversation that starts like, what would it look like if we started talking and bringing these two things together with people who, like, my wet dream, the biggest dream that I have is to and this is something I am actively working on and going to do, is getting together with people, my people in the world who have these visions and want this, and have worked on their shit enough that they can actually offer something, buy a town and literally like build the town from the inside out, from how we want it.
Hell yeah.
It's a real town where we would want people to come, like have the coolest shit, support artists, like have community music, community gardens, places that are medicine people, you know, people who understand plant medicine, and alchemists who know how to make spagyrics and medicine and who can teach it, and have it be like, but also luxury, eco lux, you know, like, and I know there's pockets of this that exist, but I feel like they're usually pretty exclusive, or there's the thing of we're going away from society, and mine's like, no, I want to make it the most attractive thing so that people are like, I want to do that. I'll just do it myself. I'll get together with my people and do our version of that, you know?
Oh man. And you know what's cool about this whole thing is when you're saying this, I'm like resonating 100%. I want my town to literally be right next to your town, you know, and there's no when you get, okay, I would just feel like we're early adopters. I feel like we're early as hell. We're here to move it this way, and we're like consciously trying to figure it out. And we're like little kids playing together. We're like, oh, I figured out that if we post this video, it'll have people understanding it more, and then a contractor will contact us or something, you know.
Exactly.
But anyway, I'm hearing you, and I'm like, there's no competition in this world. There's no competition. I mean, if there is, it's a friendly competition of how can you make your space feel, you know, it's like a learning thing, but it's not competition. It's not, if you get it, then I can't get it, because this is the way the world is moving. You know, everyone's always saying like, the world is so sad. We're just destruction. And like, when I say everyone, I mean a lot of Instagram, and I have no idea if this is how they're actually feeling, or they're just feeling like they need to post this to stay in the loop, you know, which I totally get that 100%. I totally get that. But, you know, the cool thing is when you turn your eye this way, there's no competition. It's like everyone has a town, and the world has enough space for everyone to have a town.
Yeah.
You know? Or to fit into the town, into their way that they want to fit into the town, you know. It's so cool.
Well, and people do it. I'm sorry, what were you saying?
No, I'm just saying I love that you spelled it out like perfectly, what you want to see.
Well, because I'm just urging for it at such a deep level. And I feel like when people come together to build a community intentionally for the purpose of the win-win-win, for the purpose of heaven on earth, for the purpose of restoration, and there are so many people that want that. Like when you turn that on as a possibility for people's mind, it's like, who wouldn't choose it? The only reason we sacrifice is because we believe we have to. And when you realize there's an option where you can actually create communion where you are for each other, and it's set up from the inside out to understand first and foremost that we're serving our humanity, which means we're serving our most vulnerable aspects first. So we've got to have something set up that is for the heart, for the body, and something easy. Like I remember watching a video once of, I can't remember what the organization is called, but it's this group of people who go into these inner city areas like in LA, and areas where for blocks and blocks and blocks, there's nothing but convenience stores. So a lot of kids that live in that area have no access to fresh food at all. So they basically go in, and on the sidewalk where there's cement, tear up the sidewalk, build a garden, have people in the area work on it, and they get fresh produce, and it's free. Wow. It's just like whoever wants, and it's in the middle of these cities. And I was so inspired when I watched that. I'm like, simple solutions. And the reason why we don't get there is because of the red tape we have to go, oh no, you can't create a community garden. You have to get this and this and this, and then vote this guy in, and the politics behind it. If we all realize that's what's holding us back, the whole saying of it's easier to ask for forgiveness than permission, create it and then work with it. Like, don't ask for permission to create it, create it.
100%, because what you just said, what you're cutting out is you're cutting out the middleman, the red tape, the person who says like, okay, well, you know what they're really doing is they're like, oh, that's a great idea. How can I control a bunch of people so no one really gets it? And that's just fear, you know? And I want to break something for now. I'm kind of like opening this up more to the people who are going to be watching this. It's like, this is a Bible that I just recently bought. And I just want to say like, this truth that you're speaking and the codes that you're speaking, they're also found in here. And if you've been scorned by this book, like, it's because of that middleman. It has nothing to do with, so I want to release you in that way. And I feel like I'm talking to certain people because I had to tell myself this in the beginning of my journey, that like whatever code book, whether it be crystals or the Bible or whatever, if you find codes in it, then that's you directly planting your own food and your own produce and getting your own produce and eating, you know, you're cutting out the middleman. So I don't know why that came to me when you said that. Those little kids are just so smart. They're like, F that. I don't want that food. I'm just going to, there's a little piece of ground right here. And I know how seeds work. And then the earth just gives the food. It's so cool.
Exactly. Oh, instead of like having, I think that is what so many people, I can feel it in my whole gut. Like, it's like bursting at the seams. People want to help and want to contribute, but people think we think that there's only one option, and that has to do with vote someone in office to take care of it, or make a law to make it have to be happening or whatever, instead of realizing there's so much we can do right now. And this isn't even about necessarily creating community. The first step is communion.
Totally.
Something like this, talking to someone who thinks the polar opposite of us and actually realizing they have the same exact needs and vulnerabilities and fears and trauma as you.
Totally.
And then we can remember we're the same.
100%. Like, imagine me and you have never even talked about what political party we would, if we were to vote for. And we're such to a point that it doesn't fucking matter. If you told me you voted for the most opposite color spectrum than I voted for, I already know you, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, she just sees it in that way. So go ahead, cast your, you know, I want to say little vote because it's your little 3D vote, but where your real vote is like this right now. What we're voting for is like the need to not vote. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
So it's just like, it's so cool. You know where I want to bring something up to you real quick, because I really want to get your take on this, is this need for communion. We're both leaders in a sense, you know, and I've been thinking about, because obviously anyone who's catching me in my journey right now is catching me early on in this journey, and it's really cool. I feel like I'm amongst a bunch of founding members of, if my journey had founding members, it'd be anyone resonating right now. And it just feels really supportive. It feels really cool. It feels really like crystals, like it's kind of pushing me up. It feels really cool. And I had this download while I was in ceremony, and it was like, so right now I have like Ray, who's my alter ego, right? This whole space is for me, the inner me. And he has like 200 something followers on Instagram, 200, not 200,000, 200. And he has like 35 subscribers on YouTube or something. But the way I'm going about it is very much the way you teach. Okay. And I'm thinking you must have had this download too, is that when I think about my followers, I don't think about posting something so they can like applaud. I think about talking to them as if I open my door and there's 200 literal people. That's a lot of people. All of a sudden, if you're like, oh shit, I have 45,000 people, like, you know, listen, it's like, it's a responsibility thing. And I feel like that's why I'm growing at the way I'm growing, which is slowly, but very surely. Like I find someone new and they're like, it's like a person. It's not a bot. You know what I mean? So I want to get your take on that. Have you like, because last thing I'll ramble on about is you taught me that before actually teaching it to me, before it actually integrated, when you came up with this concept of flirt with your technology. I think about that all the time. Flirt with your technology, use the Zoom, use the Instagram, use it to have your following. As you know, Jesus had his people literally walking with him. Now we're just like on Zoom and we're talking to people and all over the place. But like, I just want to hear your take on that, because you have to have had some kind of download or something.
Yeah. Well, honestly, in the beginning, I literally never thought about subscribers. It never, I don't know why. I just never really went through my brain about how many subscribers I had. I was more so utterly aware of the psychic conversation I was having with people. Like when I would post certain things, and then the things that would resonate with people. And I started out with a blog. So I had a few blogs that for whatever reason, my blog in general did really well, like right from the beginning. And I think just because I was doing freelance writing at the time, I can write, even though I wasn't that professional about it, but I still did it. But anyway, I realized very quickly how much of a psychic conversation I had. I started getting so aware of when I was trying to talk to the people who were not jiving with me and trying to convince them to. And then I was like, wait, what? Why would I even waste a breath trying to get people to understand where I'm coming from? I need to talk to the people who already get it. And so I would start literally imagining that when I would get on film that I was talking to like a best friend or a collaborator or someone in my network or a past version of me. A lot of times it was that, because I knew I was sharing things that I'd learned, and it's like I wanted to go back to my past self and say, hey, I get it now. I love you. I'm sorry. Like I can now hold the space for you, and I can witness you in a way I wasn't able to witness you before. And I started just feeling such a magnetism of people coming towards me that just what resonated, because I made it human like that. Instead of thinking of an audience. And then somewhere, I mean, it's been slow because I've never done marketing, but somewhere I remember looking at my subscribers and realizing I had like over 40,000 subscribers on YouTube. And I was like, is that a lot? I mean, it's not a lot compared to some YouTubers for sure. It's a small channel, but I was like, how the hell did 2,000 people start following me. Like, when did that happen?
I mean, it's a lot, Amanda. If you think about, if you were a beauty blogger, maybe that wouldn't be a lot because of how many minds have accepted beauty blogging.
Totally.
But
Yeah.
not that many. You're working with a sample of less than maybe 10%. And I actually don't have the right percentage, but you're not working with 100% of the population, first of all. So that knocks off that many people. So that's why I see you. Okay, because sometimes, we're talking as collaborators often, but very often I fall into, and it's not falling into, I step into your following because you support me with your work, and I think it's vice versa too.
Totally.
But what I was going to say about that 40 something thousand is a ton, because this is and I kind of see your following as a bunch of people who have gotten it for so long, and they're just like, they've gotten it for so long that they've created like fun, quirky little ways of showing it, and they don't care, or they don't know how to integrate it.
Exactly.
Is that how a big part of your following feels that way? They're just like, I'm like, some of your people in your group, I'm like, they have been cool, meaning like connected for a long time.
I agree. I'm always blown away. And I have actually had multiple people tell me when they find my channel, I'm not only blown away by you and what you say, but the people who comment. They're always like, I get lost in the comment section because it's sorry, hold on one sec. Alexa, off. I set a timer just to keep on track. I got to be off in like 15 minutes.
No, that's good. Yeah.
But I have so many people commenting on that. And then my friend Emily, who I just shared one of her videos in the group, I don't know if you saw that. She even was saying, like, I was sharing with her what several people got activated from her video. And obviously hers is very, like, we're being careful about who we share that with. But I knew it would activate people's gifts. And I don't know if you saw the guy in the group who said he started because Emily makes she channels primal sounds. And when one of the guys in my group was listening to it, he said he just started howling, like this mournful howl. And then he started having visions. And I was like, I knew it. I fucking knew this would activate some people. It's not for everyone, but sounds activate. And my whole point is that I could not believe the response the group had. And even Emily was like, wow, like, for how many people we thought maybe one or two people, but like so far a handful of people were activated by it.
Wow.
And so I've been pretty blown away recently of like the people I've pulled into my grid. I would say you're absolutely right. They've got it for a long time. And most of them blow me away with how freaking smart they are, like metaphysically smart and like quantumly smart. It's a different kind of intelligence.
Totally. And they're the quietest ones because they're the ones who can very realistically be canceled immediately.
Exactly.
Well, actually not even canceled. They don't even have a spot at the kids table, and I guess that's where our grid perfectly aligns, which is we're working to smooth that out, to be
actually say this is valuable. Like, we can hold a grid and we're valuing something in our grid that the other grids, for whatever reason, have not valued at all. So that right there is anomalous.
Oh my God. You know how many people just were nodding their head right now and just being like, yes, thank you. Like, when they say thank you, like I was looking at the comments on our last video, and a lot of people said thank you. And I'm like, I'm hearing why they said thank you now. It's the same reason why I've come to you and said thank you, and thank you for, and in the same vein, I commented back and I said thank you, because it's this perfect give and take, perfect harmony. It's this perfect push and pull of, we put ourselves out there vulnerably, someone validates that, and we feel good, and then they can put themselves vulnerably. It's like this perfect, and I think that is the way to trudge along right now.
I agree. 100%.
And that's why I want to host a bunch of stuff. Like when you said we need when you said some of your people are quantic, whatever you said, so intelligent, I was thinking we need someone in our panel that just understands the Akashic records, like they just were born to talk about the Akashic records in this life,
Exactly.
We need people who understand that. We need people who are very 3D but very open-minded. We need the whole spectrum, and who knows what will come from it.
We need someone also who can be like, okay, I want to take this and what you say, and like, here's the most grounded, like, well, how is that applicable in the most grounded way possible, for someone who doesn't get any of that.
Totally.
like, I feel like, yeah, this is lighting up for me for sure,
Mhm.
this idea of the panel. And I feel like people are probably watching this. I feel like at least 2 or 3 people that might be like, hey, I'm supposed to be on that, and or please let me know when as soon as you post it, because that's a
Totally.
conversation I want to share.
Totally. Oh my God. And so this conversation turned out to be the solidification of this panel, I think.
Yeah,
And on
totally.
the back end, me and you can work however we want to work it out to put it together, to host it and then post it. But I
Mm-hmm.
can picture very specific people being on it. And oh, last thing I was going to say is there is a lot of space for this person that I'm describing now, which is the person who's like, I love what Ricky and Amanda are talking about. I get maybe 30% of it, but I have a construction company that's
Yeah.
booming.
Yep.
Like, hey, that sounds good, and they get paid in their same type of way, that they
Mm-hmm.
understand, but they're getting paid from a different source now.
Exactly.
They're fueling this shit.
Yep.
It's funny your cat just came in. This a real world example of what this is, and I'll close my thoughts out with this story. It's funny your cat just came in right now because I was going to talk about the cats. The lady who we adopted the cats from goes hard for the cats. I mean, she volunteers to get all these stray cats together, which is why I love her so much. And she has a bookkeeping day job. And at 9 p.m. at night, she delivered these cats to us. 9 p.m. after her entire day. And then she had just come from catching cats. Okay, so she's devoting herself to cats, but really she's devoting herself to restoration to give these beautiful beings a better life. And she's attracting all these cool ass people. Like she attracted us, me and my partner, to get cats. She attracted this amazing tarot reader who's now doing a fundraising event for her, reading for so she can raise money. It's like, dude, this is how it's happening.
Yep.
It's
Exactly.
so cool.
I love it. I love what's happening right now. And I feel like I truly feel more excited than I've ever felt. And I know like that's anomalous because if you would just look at what we're being told, it seems like bleak.
Oh yeah.
But I know because it's not just wishful thinking. I'm in these conversations all the time. I
Mm-hmm.
have people contacting me from every walk of life.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I've had this pulse on the underbelly of something else that's been going on that's not being talked about. It is being talked about, just not mainstream.
Totally.
And it's about to like burst. It's like the ball that's been held up underwater and it's about to boom. And there's tons of people riding it. And so anyone who feels like they see the world, they know that world, they're urging for that world, but they feel like it's far. I hope this conversation is like, no, it's close. It's like you can almost taste it. Tune in and invest your energy there and be an early adopter because it's about to take off.
100%. And like, okay, to kind of like to close this on my end, I know I said that last time, but can I just take a second and like speak through our essence and to the people who are going to eventually watch this?
Yeah.
And I just want to say that like I just want to say people like me and Amanda are so here for you, 1 trillion%. We have all the space in the world because what we're talking about is so true for us, and it's just true, period. It's a knowing. And if you're resonating and if you're lighting up, it's because you're on a good trajectory. And the world is not bleak right now. The world is confused as hell right now, and that's how it's meant to be at this moment. And like we're moving toward a direction of just restoration, and literally, like Amanda says, heaven on earth. There's tons of people who are already feeling this, living this, loving this, that you can rely on, like the both of us. And you have the ability to be just as sovereign as the way we're feeling right now. And this can be a very sincere reality for you. So I just
Yeah.
want that to be said because it's just true. It just is.
Mm-hmm.
you know
I agree 100%.
yeah.
And I feel like, just like how I told you that woman who contacted me for a session, and then I realized like, let's collaborate because you were like the piece that I need. I just want to end with this. There are a lot of people who are in like muggle type jobs, but are way extrasensory. And I'm telling you, people like me, and you probably feel this way, I'm at the point where I need to work with a team.
Yeah.
And I need people who are awake.
Yeah.
I don't want muggles. Like, I don't want people. I want someone who can like look at me and get my tech and there are like people in my group are so gifted, and you are one of them who you were able to reflect my tech back to me. I need that because then we can leverage it.
God.
So there's a space for people who have like real world skills, but want to work with people who are multidimensional.
100. I envision I feel like you just put a call out to your team, whatever
Yeah.
you need, video editors, sound editors, engineers, whatever. Your team, I can feel it, is so rad. You guys ride on a whole, like your 9 a.m. meetings, whatever time they actually may be, are so fun, are so cool, are so anomalous.
Yeah.
There's just a bunch of stuff headed your way. It's rad. It's cool.
Yeah, I can feel it. I'm excited. And I'm just like, universe, bring it to me. So when that girl contacted me and I was just like, oh, and it wasn't just because of what she said, I got her tech. And I was like, yes, your tech is the kind of tech I want to work with if I'm going to work with someone who does branding or marketing or whatever, you know? So,
oh my
yeah,
God. That's
tech.
just so cool. Thank you for everything, as always.
You're welcome. I'm so glad we got to chat again.
Me too.
Let me know when you post this. Can I post it on my channel as well?
Oh, yeah, I would love for both of us to just continue. Like, you know, we could eventually put this into a big series of just like how we created our towns from the
Yes,
beginning.
exactly. Yep.
And town hall, so to speak, you know?
Yes.
So yeah, of course, I'll send it to you. I'll do all those things. But overall, this was just so fun. And thank you for your time. And thank you for your astral time too.
Of course. Yeah. Vice versa.
You're very giving with that, by the way. You know you are, but you are.
So are you.
Yeah.
I feel differently about you.
Thank you so much. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll talk to you soon. And
Okay.
yeah, thanks for everything.
Yeah, for sure. Have a good day.
Okay, you too. Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.